Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Chris Hendrickson, and we're doing our weekly Lady Boss call. And I'm super, super excited tonight to introduce our Diamond Leader, Mallorie, and our Star Executive, Ryan Bradshaw. And I respect these two so much. You know, Mallorie's been in this almost a year. I met her last year in June in San Diego, and she was just kind of getting her business going. And so, you know, being a woman in this business is not easy. It's hard. And, you know, I own a business already, and the things I've had to deal with, you know, as a business woman owning my own, I've had some struggles also. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that. And then I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, why do you have a male on your calls? You know, this is crazy, and people kind of laugh about it. But here's the deal. Men and women think differently, and I can't tell you how a man thinks. You know, I'm a woman, so I don't have a man's brain. I don't know how they work. So what I like, you know, for a guy to do is get on here and tell you how they think, so that we can learn how to communicate with them in this business and how to approach them. Because if you're like most women in this world, you have to approach guys differently. You know, you're not going to approach a guy the same in a business as you would a bar. You know, hopefully you're not approaching guys at a bar at a, you know, a certain way. But, you know, it's your own business. However, you know, you're going to hear from a guy, and he's just going to kind of tell you, you know, how things are going to go, how a guy feels and how a guy thinks. I get a lot of messages in my Facebook from guys, and they're always like, hey, what's up? And most of the time I don't respond. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, they see you're successful. They want to know about Vima. They ask a little bit about it. But as soon as you start talking more into it, they change the subject. So we're going to kind of try to get through some of those things, you know, on our calls, how to get through those hurdles, and how to be a professional and still be, you know, who you are, not losing that. But today, really quick, I'm going to talk about, you know, when people ask you, is this a pyramid scheme? That is something a lot of people ask me about. You know, what should I say? Someone asked me if this is a pyramid scheme. And this is kind of, you know, what I've said, you know, what I've said to people, and how many times I've heard this in 2 years, okay? I've heard this, and I don't know if you can guess on how many times I've heard, is this a pyramid scheme? I've heard this 2 times in 2 years. That's it. Because how you approach people is how people are going to respond to you, okay? People shouldn't ask you if this is a pyramid scheme, because you shouldn't approach it that way. You shouldn't approach this as a scam or a pyramid scheme. Talk, you know, be professional and ask them. Say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a pyramid scheme? And most people will not be able to answer you. Don't ever be defensive, because if you're defensive, people are going to wonder, you know, it must be because she's getting all weird. And don't ever say, let me call someone and have them talk to you. That's the worst thing you can do. You know, you need to learn how to be a leader. You need to learn how to approach people and answer people in a professional way. But don't ever, ever, ever get defensive. You know, always make a joke about it, going, yeah, you know, I like to get myself in a pyramid scheme. First of all, 2 things. A pyramid scheme, and you can answer this very professional, it's a transfer of money with no product involved. That's all you have to say. And as soon as you say that, they're going to shut down really quick. It is a transfer of money with no product involved. Okay? That's all it is. So you don't really need to go on and on, because the more you say, the more it's going to look like a scam and a pyramid scheme. Number 2, you know, we have an awesome product, a great compensation plan, and a great company to work with. What else do you have to say? Leave it at that. Don't be defensive, and change the subject. Then ask them, what other questions do you have? Because you answered it, and you're done. So, you know, be short and brief. Don't be defensive. So that's kind of my tip of the week for you guys on a pyramid scheme. Hopefully you wrote some of them down. Just be short and sweet. I'm super excited to announce our next guy, Ryan Bradshaw. He's out of Missoula, Montana. He's a star executive leader. This guy owns a business already. He's already successful in what he does. So I want you to hear from him on kind of his take on some of the women on his team, what they've had to deal with, and what he sees as a male, and what he demands pretty much out of his team. And so I'm going to introduce Mr. Ryan Bradshaw, and then he's going to introduce Malorie, who's a total lady boss. I love her, and she's going to close it out for us. So, Mr. Bradshaw, you're up.
I got to unmute myself. There we go. Ready to rock and roll. I'm already starting off hot. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on here, Chris. I appreciate it, and you know, I'm excited to. It's always exciting to hear from you. I'm excited to hear from Malorie tonight, and you know, for me, I have a few good things. I've been able to build this business for the last year and a half to, you know, a couple thousand people in my organization, and obviously you deal with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, and we have dealt. I've been able to see firsthand on what women have to deal with when they're dealing with men sometimes, because we are in a business where you're talking to people constantly, and you're constantly thinking of new people to talk to, and you're prospecting different people, whether it be writing messages on Facebook or texting somebody or whatever it is. You're going to be dealing with a lot of males, and we all know that males have a one-track mind at certain times, and so there's a few things that I think that can be very helpful. I know I've even seen it with Malorie, the way she handles it and what we've come up with, because Malorie has built a super professional business and taught her people this way, and we've been dealt with it in Missoula here at times with certain women as well. The number one thing for me, my advice, I have a few things to give you guys when dealing with men and when approaching men for the first time. And because everybody, a lot of the women in VEMA, if you're in this business, you're very charismatic, and charismatic women can be very attractive to men. And I think that's the one thing you want to keep in mind. If you are an entrepreneur, women that are entrepreneurs, they're outspoken, they can be loud, they can be in your face, and they can be very confident. And when you're confident, which is what you need to be, that can come across as a man sometimes a man can take it the wrong way. Number one, build a relationship, a professional relationship right from the get-go. Be honest and upfront in what you're wanting and what you're doing. So, for example, you know, let's say you're approaching me for the first time and you're excited about something, and you're saying, hey, right away, your excitement you want to carry into professional. You don't, you know, you want to say what you're there for and why you're talking to them right up front. Hey, you know what, I'm super excited about this opportunity I'm in. I really want to talk to you about that. And you do the invite the right way. And when you meet them for the first time, you say, hey, look, I hope you know that I'm really excited to build this opportunity, and this is what I'm here for. I'm not here for anything else at this time. I want to build a relationship of trust with you and a friendship with you, but I'm not looking for anything else. I see nothing wrong. And I heard Cliff Braun say this when we were over in Coeur d'Alene. He said, always tell them you're building a relationship of trust and then a friendship, but that's what you're here for. And you're excited about what you're doing. And tell them the career you're building is a career. You're building a career of getting to know people and a relationship building career. And there's nothing wrong with being upfront with them. You have to be very honest with a man, because we all assume that every woman wants us. So when a woman's talking to us and they're smiling, every man in his head is like, oh, she looked at me this way or that way, or she's talking to me because of this and that. That's a lot of times how men are going to think. And so there's nothing wrong with being upfront and being honest. Also, another thing to be careful of too, and I know I've seen this before firsthand, is how you text and message somebody. It can be something as simple as if you text a guy and you put a smiley face or a wink face, they're all of a sudden going to think that you might be flirting with them. If you use maybe too many exclamation points, the wrong guy can take it the wrong way. It could be. It's so crazy how, you know, you can read a text, how certain people can read one. I've seen it too, trust me. I mean, where too many exclamation points. The guy just thought that he was being flirted with. And so it's funny. Just make sure when you're texting or writing a message on Facebook, just keep it professional. I wouldn't use any emojis, any icons. I wouldn't use any smiley faces, too many exclamations. Just keep the message very professional. And I wouldn't really necessarily even joke around a lot at first until you get to know the person. A joke of saying something like, I can't wait to work with you. You look really good right now. This is going to be great. Or you look super good. Your charisma could take you a long way in this business. Just giving too many compliments could sometimes give the guy the wrong opinion or the wrong idea. And so I would just establish that relationship of trust. Tell them what you're doing. Be confident about it, and be upfront. You cannot be too blunt with a man, because literally we need it spelled out in layman's terms. If you don't do it, we're too dumb sometimes to figure it out on our own. And so, last but not least, this is something too that I find very fascinating. And when I heard this I've learned a lot from Cliff. If you guys can't tell, I think this is great stuff. If you're talking to somebody, if a man's kind of coming on to you and you don't know how to get out of the situation, because I know it can be very uncomfortable for women sometimes when they're starting to say things to you and they're giving you a lot of compliments and you can tell they're hitting on you. The last thing you want to say is that you have a boyfriend, husband, or significant other. And usually that's the way you think you can get out of it. And I like this because by saying that, you're giving the man the indication that their behavior is okay. So if I'm sitting there and I'm hitting on Chris and I'm saying all these things and I'm giving her all these compliments and Chris is like, hey, you know what? I can't right now. I have a boyfriend, or I'm with somebody, or I have a husband. That's indirectly saying that what I'm doing to her is okay, and she's just not reacting to it because she's with somebody. And I hope I'm saying that the right way. When in reality, say, hey, look, your behavior right now is not okay. That's what you want to tell them. Your behavior right now is not okay. I'm here on a professional level. I'm proud of my business. I'm proud of what I'm doing. And lay it on the line right from the get-go. You don't need to tell them that you have a boyfriend or husband, because that's not what the point is. The point is you're building a business. And you let them know, look, boyfriend or not, your behavior is not okay. I'm here to build a business. I'm a professional, and I'm building a professional organization, and I want to know if you want to be a part of it. If not, and you're getting the wrong idea from me, I'm sorry, but we might need to go different directions. Be honest, upfront, lay it on the line. And honestly, I hope that helps out. I hope that makes some sense. I want to pass it on to a phenomenal leader down in Denver. I met her through a friend of mine named Evan Lundy. She's a diamond leader. She just got her Vima car. She is super energetic, building a very phenomenal organization. Malorie Sundheim, I'm going to turn it over to you. She's got some great advice for you ladies out there. Take it away, Malorie.
Hey, thank you. Can you hear me? Good. Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. So excited that I get to be on here tonight and sharing a couple tips with you guys. And the couple of things I want to share with everyone tonight are just most recent things that I've been thinking a lot about and have been seeing a lot over social media. And obviously, we live in a generation right now where social media plays a big part into our life, and we like to share things that we're excited about. So obviously we're all, always all posting about what we're doing in Vima, maybe our events or whatever it is. And I recently just found myself back on Twitter, because I know it's better to get on more social media that you can to really expose yourself to a whole bunch of different followings. And I was on there the other day for the first time in over a year, and I came across a page that's directly towards the YPR, basically bashing on us, and it's a really rude page. I actually blocked them, so I didn't ever have to see their stuff again because I didn't like it. But some of the posts I saw, they shared from other people on Twitter that are involved in Vima, and they shared some of their pictures, and I could honestly kind of see why some of the people they were bashing on, because they're giving some of us a really bad name for ourselves and a bad look, which where I'm going with this is just how we should conduct ourselves in the most respectful way. Like, for example, the one post that really stuck out to me on Twitter and just kind of made me, I don't even know the word. I just was like, oh, why would you ever do that? It was a young boy, and he had a Verve can with like a $5 bill and a couple ones, and he had it like all crumpled up like next to his face. And then his caption was like, "For the bitches only, let's make money," or something. Sorry for my language, but that's what it said. And I was just like, oh. So it's kids like that that are out there that maybe aren't even on our teams, but those are the kids that are giving Vima a bad name. And so the one thing I really wanted to touch on was just how we should be conducting ourselves. You know, there's a lot of older people in this business that you don't even hear about because they do this in a very discreet way and treat it very professional. With as the YPR, a lot of us don't have experience in growing our own business, but we should listen to the ones that have already done this with previous businesses and really listen to them. I know we hear that all the time, but I don't think a lot of us as the YPR like to listen, I guess, to what we're being told to do. So a few examples, I guess. We're all on Facebook all the time, and I think this is one thing me and Ryan had to talk about with my team was posting too much. I know even if they're positive posts, but bombarding people's news feed with too many posts can be kind of overwhelming on an outsider's point of view and almost maybe annoying. So keeping your posts maybe just a minimal couple times a week and very subtle positive posts. So maybe not making the whole thing about Vima. Maybe saying you had a great workout because of your body burn and just something subtle like that. Or you know, you went on a hike or something and you just take a picture with like the can instead of maybe posting all the nutrition facts about Vima and saying, if you want to know more, message me. Because I feel like if you're making posts that can leave curiosity, you'll have people coming to you instead of you asking people to come to you. And that's one thing that me and my team, or I've been working on with my team, because we have a lot of new people and they're obviously really excited, so they were posting a lot, and so we had to tell them just to tone it down a bit and keep the post to a minimum. And then back to the kid that I saw on Twitter that I have no idea who he was. I guess really we all represent one company, we're one dream, one team, and we should really protect the brand. You know, Vima is such a wonderful company, and when there's posts out being made like that out there, it gives the rest of us a very bad look. So for those of you who are listening or going to listen to this, always remember that anybody can see what you're posting. How I don't even know who that kid is, but I saw it, and same with everybody else on Twitter. It was shared because he's in Vima. And you never know who's going to be watching you or looking at your social media pages, so just make sure that they're always really positive and give people a good look. And also remember, a lot of people don't know what we know yet. A lot of people that are still working their jobs that maybe they're content with, but then they hear us and Vima maybe bashing on their 9-to-5 jobs. And that, to me, I don't think, if I was on the outsider's point of view, I don't think I'd want to jump the gun and be like, I think I should join what they're doing because they're just talking so great or bad about what I'm doing. So instead of bashing people and what they're doing because they don't know exactly what we know, let people know that you care first, and just let them know that you care, and what we're doing is really, you know, it's really different. It's outside the box, and you should give people a more positive inside look to it and be understanding of everybody else's situation because they're not in the same situation as we are trying to grow this business. So just be really respectful to what maybe they're already doing right now for their career. And, you know, the last thing I could say about how we should be conducting ourselves is just be a person that you would like to work with, you know, be somebody who's fun and is enjoyable to be around, who's nice and is caring, and just be the same person that you would want to work with too. And one other thing that I was happy Chris talked about was being asked if it's a pyramid scheme. That's really funny because it actually happened to me while I was working my waitressing job on Friday night. And I was honestly kind of in a grumpy mood because I had just been there all day and it was just chaotic. And there was a table that was in the restaurant that I actually recognized, and the guy that was at the table used to come to the restaurant I previously used to work at, which was more a bar atmosphere and people get really crazy at. So to be honest, he wasn't my favorite person to see, but I thought I should just go say hi. And he asked what I'd been up to, and I told him how I'd just been traveling a lot and working, and then still growing my business. And he's like, "Oh, you're still doing that thing?" And I said, "Yep, absolutely." And he was like, "Yeah, it's like the pyramid scheme where the guy at the top's making all the money." And I obviously got a little irritated, but I just kind of looked at him for a second and just asked him like what he meant. How Chris said you should just kind of play it off like you don't even really know what a pyramid scheme is. And I did that. And I was just like, "Wait, what do you mean?" I was like, "What's a pyramid scheme?" And he, I think, was really thrown off because I think most people expect you to defend how it's not a pyramid scheme, and then that can lead to maybe you guys getting in an argument and you're wasting time defending everything it's not, and then you get all worked up. And so instead I just asked him what he meant and acted really confused. And it was funny because when he tried to explain it, he didn't really have much to say. I don't even really remember how he described a pyramid scheme, but I just replied with, "Oh," I was like, "No, that's not what I do," but whatever I said, something like that, and just kept it really short and sweet, and then I had to leave because I was at work anyways. But I really liked how she brought that up because I think instead of spending time defending all the reasons why what we're doing is not a pyramid scheme and getting worked up about it, just play it off as you just don't even know what they're talking about. And then from there, I think it can only go up and be more of a positive conversation rather than both of you getting upset with each other, I guess. And the last thing I was just going to talk about is really, I've decided lately when I've been thinking a lot and doing a lot of personal development that I realize you really have to develop yourself before you can develop a very successful business. And by doing that, we all talk about the personal development, but it couldn't be more true the more that you're reading from all these different successful people in VEMA or not. They really do know what they're talking about, and everybody has a different story, so it's cool to read all these different books like Cliff Braun or Darren Hardy's books, Gary Vaynerchuk, and Robert Kiyosaki. And when you're reading from all of those guys and listening to what they have to say, or even the YPR radio with Eric Thomas, wow, it's really dark. Sorry. Just didn't realize it was so dark. Anyways, and even like the YPR radio with Eric Thomas, really listening to all of the younger people in the YPR that he interviews and talks with and listening to what they have to do, and they sound so developed. They sound like they really know what they're doing. And I think that's one of the most important things you can do to really get a jump start when you're brand new in this business is really dive into the personal development and really learn from those around you that are already making it work. And just be the best that you can and lead by example instead of maybe having to rely on others. Maybe just turn yourself into a leader and just rely on yourself. And that's all I really have for you guys. I really appreciate you listening, and thank you, Chris, so much for your wise words tonight. And Ryan, that was some really good stuff too, and I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yay! What are we doing? Are we done?
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.